1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, guys.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hello, guys. I'm James Hake. It is Monday, August 19th, 2019, fourth hour of the Jesse Lee Peterson stream. Thank you, Jesse, and thank you guys for staying tuned. You can find my podcast by going to the Hake Report on whatever podcast platform, such as Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud. And Jesse's, you can find Jesse Lee Peterson show on podcasts. There are actually two different Jesse Lee Peterson show, because one is the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and then one is the Jesse Lee Peterson show highlights. So it is, get them both, because they're really good. The highlights one has stuff from the Jesse Lee Peterson YouTube channel that does not appear on the regular 3-hour Jesse Lee Peterson show. So isn't that nice? And you can find that via jlptalk.com, at least the main one. But you can just search it. You'll find it. Cool. Sign up, by the way, for the Bond mailing list. We send out emails, but we also send out physical mailings just a few times a year, you know. Newsletters, Bond newsletters. That's Jesse Lee Peterson's nonprofit. Rebuildingtheman.com/subscribe. It's cool. Or you can call and give us your address. 800-411-BOND. 2663 is Bond. 800-411-2663. Or 323-782-1980. So do it. I recommend it. Our mailing address is P.O. Box 35090. Los Angeles 90035. Well, Los Angeles, California 90035. It's great. So, before I get to your calls, you can call in. Appreciate you guys already calling in. 888-775-3773. I have a quick Entrepreneur Academy update because I am part of the Bond Entrepreneur Academy. By the way, you can get this great t-shirt. I'm wearing a Bond t-shirt. It says Rebuilding the Family by Rebuilding the Man. By going to the Jesse Lee, I was about to say the Jesse Lee Peterson, to the Bond Rebuilding the Man Teespring store. And you can find that by going to rebuildingtheman.com, click Bond store, and then you'll see the Teespring ad. Click there and you'll find this. You can also see it at jesseleepeterson.com because there is a banner that rotates. There's 3 different Teespring stores. It can be confusing to some people. I guess maybe it could be confusing to anybody. But we have 3 different shows, 3 different stores. We have the Jesse Lee Peterson show daily, Monday through Friday. We have Church with Jesse Lee Peterson through the Bond nonprofit channel. And we have The Fallen State, which is the pre-taped, usually, sit-down interviews. They're cool. And Man on the Streets. So anyways, one of the things that we learned from the Entrepreneur Academy at Bond here is this. Your job is your business. Have you ever thought of your job as your business? So what you put out as an employee represents you. So you're building your business as yourself. And if you go, good enough for government work, that's not good enough. Well, especially if you know it's not right, then you're doing a disservice. So it's just a nice, interesting mindset that Jesse has passed on or urges people to take on, to see your job as your business. Then you're better equipped in your mindset and your discipline to create your own business too. Bond is a great nonprofit organization, as you all know, under Jesse Lee Peterson, by the way, committed to rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. How can you not be inspired by that? Rebuilding the man. Unless you have a heart of stone. It is Men's History Month. So, yeah. I'm James Hake, and this show, The Hake Report, is my business. I started The Hake Report 2 years ago with Joel and Esteban. But then I broke out on my own Christmas 2017, weekly on YouTube and audio podcast. Now, as of July 2019, July 2019, White History Month, I have been going daily, 6 days a week, Sunday through Friday. And of course, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday on the Jesse Lee Peterson show stream, and 1 day a week on my channel, Sundays on my channels before church. It's so cool. And I appreciate all the support, guys. By the way, I also read news on Jesse's hourly breaks, as you all know. And we've eliminated a lot of breaks over time, a lot of obnoxious news breaks. If you guys have been listening for more than like a year, then you may remember under the Jesse Lee Peterson show, we used to take a lot of breaks. And people were so annoyed, although they did like the memes that we would show during the breaks and the little lightweight music, all quiet on the YouTube channel. But yeah, now we're streaming on multiple video platforms, Periscope. We were on Facebook for a while, but Facebook accused Jesse of hate speech falsely. Twitch, too, same thing. But now we're on D Live. Shout out, guys. Thank you for the support. Mixer and maybe some others. Not sure. I'm also putting out a lot of Jesse's archive content from the 90s and 2007, 2008. And some of you have been really enjoying it. Some of you thought that Jesse just started in what, like 2010 or something? No, he's been around for going on 30 years. And some great interviews and discussions. Very enlightening. You can find those on the Jesse Lee Peterson YouTube channel. So looking forward, I'm looking to get some good guests to interview. Thank you for the suggestions, guys. I do have some good suggestions, good candidates to interview. Maybe add more hours, maybe. Get out of the studio sometimes for my show, you know. Get on Instagram more. Joel's big on Instagram. Perhaps get an intern or a producer. And put out some cool t-shirt designs. So, and of course, get healthy and stop having a beta back. You should have seen me when I started. I was sugar water, or so Jesse claims. So I'm still growing. Appreciate the feedback, criticism, support. Thanks, y'all. That's my little update for the Bond Entrepreneur Academy. If you are a young man and you want to start your business, or you have your own business going, or you want to be an entrepreneur, contact Bond, 323-782-1980. And then send us an email with like a one-pager on your business idea about yourself. I recommend it. It's cool. So, Obamacare is evil. I was reading about this, and then I will get to your calls. Appreciate you holding. I was reading the news updates at the top of the third hour, and I heard about Obamacare. We all know that Obamacare made parents' coverage able to cover their adult children through the age of 26. And so I read about pediatricians still seeing 26-year-old patients. Sometimes they're fathers or mothers, and adult males going to female child doctors. Child doctors is being a pediatrician directed for children. The doctor is not a child, but it's crazy. And so, speaking of Men's History Month, that's like an emergency. And so Obama was encouraging, and still is through his illegal law, unconstitutional Obamacare, still encouraging adult children never to grow up, to just get older and older and older and more immature and easy to control and looking for free stuff and just mess. So the world is messed up, well, in America particularly, because we're not having babies, especially the whites. So we're bringing in illegal aliens, so-called legal immigrants, and so-called refugees to work. And meanwhile, black unemployment has been consistently over decades double the rate of the national average unemployment. So they could be working, but they're getting unemployment or welfare or whatever, taking care of them. And we have minimum wage laws driving up, inflating the costs and of labor, inflating the value of labor. It's not really, it's a mess. Driving up the cost of living is including women working, husbands and wives both working, and they both work so they have more money so they can live more comfortably. But that's ill-gotten gain because not only are the children ignored or they're given to daycares and education, which are run by liberals who brainwash the kids, but also it is driving up the average family, what's affordable for the average family. So costs of everything go up because now we have like double the workforce, so now everybody can afford more. And so the people that decide not to work, it's that much harder for the people that say, I want the husband to work and the wife not to work. It's that much harder for them. I mean, they can sacrifice, but anyways, it's all school, medicine, insurance is all driven up by all this stuff, driving down the value of money. And I know that you guys like to trash, a lot of you guys like to trash the banks, and I can sympathize with that. They're not helping. We have frivolous lawsuits driving up the cost of insurance. We have family courts are a racket. Social spending is through the roof. People complain about military spending. Social spending is way more than military spending. Social spending is like more than half the budget, the government budget. And it's not even supposed to be like basically any of it. Almost. So young people can't really afford housing. I think they could, but it's all this ill-gotten gain is corrupting the people. And then we have all these Asians coming in, literal foreigner Asians, coming in and paying cash for properties and buying up our land. That's nuts. We shouldn't be allowing that, but they care more about money than the people. It's a shame. So that's why in the Entrepreneurship Academy, we're reading The 7 Guaranteed Steps to Spiritual, Family, and Financial Success. I think we have a picture of that book. It's a nice little guide. And in this book, the last chapter is called Giving. You're supposed to give where you can, when it's right to. But I learned a lesson from this book and from Jesse's Sunday services. Check them out. rebuildingtheman.com/church. That sometimes giving cannot be good. And Obamacare is an instance of that. In giving, sometimes you do more harm than good. People get spoiled easily. And that's even conservative grown men who know better. They still get spoiled. So that's one reason why liberals are evil. But it goes on in our personal lives too. So anyways, I just wanted to rant about that before I get to some of the stuff that I wanted to mention yesterday from my Sunday show. But let me get to some calls first. Stewart, first-time caller out of Massachusetts. Stewart, how are you?
Good. Am I on?
Yes, sir, you are.
Good. I feel honored. I'm on the Hake report. This is awesome.
Nice.
Before I talk about what I want to talk about, because I'm about to pick a little bit of a bone with Jesse, I first want to say that he's actually helped me with my anger.
Okay.
I'm getting my anger more in check. Not that I was super angry all the time. Not at my parents anyway. I'm angry at the society.
Were you ever angry at your
makes me
parents?
angry, so he's helping me with that.
Were you ever angry at your parents?
Yep, I was, but I made amends after I got saved when I was like 25, and I started realizing that my parents got fooled by this giant psyop going on and just trusted the public schools and just trusted the news and the media, and they trusted the teachers and the principals over their son, because you know what I mean, and I couldn't express to them all this that was going on when I was younger.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. So I eventually forgave them that they couldn't see the truth. They're waking up now, though.
Good. Nice.
What I did want to talk about is my issue with the police.
Okay.
And and I also want to look into your Entrepreneur Academy. I think I'm going to take some courses.
Right on. How old are you?
I'm 50. Is that too old?
I don't know. You could try. You could hit us up.
if I can learn something, then I can learn something, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I want to talk about the police, and I don't have the answers to this, and I don't expect you to have the answers to it. Maybe you could just speak to it after I get off the phone. But the issue I have with the police is that there's certain things that no matter who's in charge, namely the family courts and the way fathers are treated, and that no matter who's in charge, the Democrats or the Republicans, the system is the same. And people, I hear the conservatives, they contradict themselves. They're talking about how bad the public schools are, but then they love the police, but then the police back up the public schools. And they talk about how bad the family courts are, but then the police back up the family courts. Do you see what I'm saying? And I see this contradiction between, that the police back up these entities that we don't like, and it's their job, and it's like they're just doing their job to get a paycheck, and that's not what they're there for.
So are you saying
they're supposed to be there to uphold the Constitution?
So are you saying that the police are forcing people to go to public school or something?
Pretty much. If you, okay, we're at a point like we're told just homeschool. Like you can just go, oh, okay, I'll homeschool. It doesn't work like that. It takes time. It takes money. But I'll give you an example. My children are supposed to be my property, and the mother of my kids alienated my kids from me for 10 years. Now, if I wasn't as smart if I hadn't learned everything that I learned, and I just went to her door, if I just found out where she was, where's the mother of my kids? Grabbing people in the alleyways and shaking them around, and where's my kids? And I went to her door and knocked on her door and said, okay, I'm here to get my kids now. I said this to a lady who's a mother yesterday. We were talking outside the supermarket. I said to her, what do you think would have happened if I did that and just went to the mother's door, banged on the door, and said, all right, you haven't let me see my kids in 10 years. I want my kids now. I said, what do you think she would have done?
Oh, I see. So you're saying that the police would have come and get you. Yeah.
And the police would have come and directed if I didn't cooperate with them, they would have either beat me up or killed me in front of my kids.
I'm aware
or
that
they would have said you got to go to the family courts, which are completely unconstitutional and illegal.
Yeah. Stewart, that's because the police are there to enforce the law, and the laws are bad laws now. And regardless,
they're there to enforce the Constitution.
Right, but they're there to the sheriffs swear to the Constitution. I don't know about the police in particular.
Well,
but
I would
listen,
get fired then, is what you're saying.
Listen, you're interrupting me.
No,
Stewart,
father,
calm down, man.
And you know
Stewart,
what I mean?
Stewart, calm down, man. I'm trying to
go ahead.
decipher what you're talking about. So the police are there to enforce the laws, and they don't know much about the Constitution. These police are basically just pawns of these liberal judges. And these liberal judges are there regardless of whether it's conservatives or liberals in office. Which is why Trump hasn't. Listen.
This is how it's supposed to work.
Hold on, man. Trump can't even build the wall because of these courts. He can't even make the military enforce the borders because of these liberal courts. And it sounds too like you messed up. You got with the wrong woman, or some type of situation happened. And now you want to blame the police for it, where it's not necessarily the police's fault. Yes, they should maybe be better educated, but countrywide, people in general are becoming corrupt. So, of course, there's going to be bad situations that happen with police, because the police are humans too, like you, corrupt like you, messing up like you, and weak like you. It starts with you, man. So
here's the deal. In this country, we only hire police so that we can go about doing other things, and we're not taking up our whole day investigating things. In this country, the way it's supposed to work is we're the government. Okay, let me take you to a founding father.
No, listen, man. I don't have a lot of time for that.
Government,
listen,
you have tyranny, and
Stewart,
the police are the government.
Right. It's
when
because
the government fear the people, you have justice, and the police are not afraid of conservatives. They're not afraid of us, and if they're directing us to illegal, unlawful,
but because you don't have
across the country,
because you've lost your Stewart.
At that point, let me talk first.
You've lost your natural authority.
At that point, we're supposed to turn.
I gotta go, man. If you don't shut up, I have to hang up on you, man. You're hung up on this victimhood thing, and I talked yesterday about how we have to victim blame. You have to blame yourself first because you got yourself in this situation. Men, and I talked about how MGTOW and incels, and then guys like you with this divorce and custody battle, you're complaining about the police, but you're basically acting like a victim. You're acting like the blacks, complaining about police. And yeah, there are injustices that happen, but it starts with you. You can't be a victim like that.
I'm not a victim. I want to take control.
Yeah, you are. You're a victim. You're complaining.
That's not being a victim.
Yeah, it is.
How come the mother isn't punished for me? So
the mother. It doesn't matter, man.
Kids out of wedlock, and my kids should be abused.
That's the reality, man. You have to deal with the reality.
None of that makes. That's not conservative. That's not a conservative.
I don't care about conservative. I care about what's right.
Women don't want to get married anymore, James. They want to go on welfare and not listen to them, man.
You keep blaming them, but blaming them, but it isn't going to make you better.
I'm not blaming them. I had a kid out of wedlock, but they're still my kids.
Right.
And the police will kill me if I go try to see them without the permission of an illegal court.
Because you can't be a psycho. You know that.
The police also got caught dressing up as Antifa in Oregon. Did you hear about that?
A cop did?
The police in 2009, everyone was wondering why the police were standing down while Antifa was attacking them with sticks and bottles. And then they looked at the photos later, and Antifa were all wearing matching boots, the same boots the police were wearing. So, of course, the police are standing down. If they can throw bottles,
yeah, man, like I said,
suspicious when people in masks can attack the police and then the police stand down, and then go in later and rough up all the conservatives and break up their demonstrations.
Listen,
the police
I'm not surprised.
Dressing up as Antifa
that's fine.
In Oregon. I wanted to make that point too.
Okay, appreciate that. Yeah, I'm not.
Yes,
hey, listen. Let me respond to what you're saying.
Americans got to take, like you said, we got to step up to the plate and take over. But the police are not going to let us do that. I'm telling you, whether out of ignorance or naivete or corruption. It's not going to happen. That's my opinion. The police.
The police are just human beings too, man.
Fear of their lives of the police.
All right. Appreciate it, Stewart.
Anyway, I got to go. I'm at work. I love your show.
Thanks, man.
I love your show. I just want to say I love your show.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Bye.
So, yeah, it starts with, like what Jesse says, it's rebuilding men. If men were rebuilt, then you think a cop is going to listen to somebody like that, ranting like that? I don't think so. No reasonable person would, even a cop who is open to being reasonable with men. You have to be a man first. So, let's see, Mike out of San Antonio, Texas. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, James?
Fine, thank you. Nice to hear from you.
Oh, no problem. I think I know why you got your own show now.
Appreciate it. Why?
Well, you have to deal with Meg now.
Have to deal with what?
So you will be the one to have to deal with Maze.
Oh, Maze, yeah. I do get to deal with Maze a lot. She's interesting. And I can decipher what she's saying better than anybody here in the studio.
That's scary.
Yep, I have an ear for Maze.
Well, my topic was going to be, I think I may understand, I'm not saying it's totally irrational, but the rationale why people have a thing, whites in particular, against the Jewish people.
Why whites are blaming the Jews? Yeah.
Right.
I understand it too.
And you know what it is? And, you know, I left and I went to a Jewish high school, so I had some interaction with Jewish people.
Speak up for me. You're coming kind of in and out.
Okay, I said I had some interaction with some Jewish friends of mine in high school. And just Jews in general. And they're very liberal. And if you look at all these...
It's true.
You look at all the organizations that give a lot of money to these liberal causes, they're Jewish organizations.
Yeah.
And they vote 80% for Barack Obama. And you look at the women's liberation. They were all started by Jewish women.
I heard I heard they voted 70. I don't think they were as bad for Hillary. They were like 70%, I think, for Hillary. 80% for Barack. I hadn't heard that one, but that's crazy. I don't
Yeah.
get why. I do kind of get it. A lot of Jews have the victim mindset, and so they identify with the black victims, and it's a shame that they do that. But basically, they're no better, no wiser than the minorities, the other so-called minorities that they exploit and use. And it really, since they appear to be the leaders of the evil, the whites really get angry at them because they're seem to be the leading the situation. Like what you said, they're donating to these organizations, and
Well,
yeah, I understand all that.
yeah.
But the other thing
quite
is,
honestly,
one thing that that you should do, including the whites, is blame yourselves for letting this stuff happen, and blame the people too, the pawns, because you do have to blame the pawns. Like I gave the excuses to the cops for being pawns of the liberals, but some of them do stand up. Some of the sheriffs in particular stand up for the Constitution as opposed to these unconstitutional laws. So it is the pawn's fault for following, and you have to blame both. You can't just blame the leaders. You can't blame Satan for everything and give excuses to all of Satan's children who are here. You have to blame the children of Satan, which includes whites, black, it's everybody.
Right. I get
Yeah.
that, but this is the whole thing. I don't think there's a program going out there to address the Jewish issue as far as they're really blind people. They look normal because they nice houses, nice careers, and everything. But if you've ever been around any Jewish folk, and I'm saying this in general, just like I say about black people,
Yeah.
that woman runs that house.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
care if the guy. I don't care if the guy runs a corporation. When he get home, he's running nothing. Judge Judy is a classic example of a Jewish woman who runs everything.
Yeah.
I'm telling you my
That's a good
experience.
point. Yeah.
And if nobody go out there and tell them, you need to get your house in order. Nobody's really telling them that, because if you tell them that, then you get accused of being anti-Jew, and really it's out of love,
Right.
because it's not normal for that small percentage of a population to be that liberal, to give out that much money, just like it's not normal for only 3% of our population, which is black males between 16 and 30, to commit murder.
Right.
So somebody, I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
somebody needs to tell them, your woman is ruining your community, even though you live in nice houses and have money.
This is the only place that the alt-right types go wrong is, well, the main place, let's say, is that when they speak the so-called truth, meaning facts about Jews, they're not speaking it in love. They're speaking it out of frustration, anger, hatred,
True.
or obsession with these so-called facts that everybody else likes to hide and dance around and stuff. Whereas I think what Jesse's approach is that he loves Jews. He loves all people. And so the Jews that listen to his show, they listen, they may take heed. Some of them, it probably goes over their heads because Jesse's calling is to blacks, but it's also to all people. But some people do hear it and awaken a little bit, and they see it. It takes a while to see, for some people, to notice what the woman is doing, what the mother is doing, the women in
James,
general. Yeah,
it's so, James, it is so obvious.
it's obvious to
I
you
don't-
and I and me, but you and I have been listening to Jesse forever, and you may have seen it. You may have eyes opened to this issue about the women, the mothers, but they grew up that way. Think about that, and they're people who grow up that way are blind to it. It's a struggle for a lot of blacks to realize that racism does not exist because they grow up brainwashed and taught that from childhood, from their parents, from their pastors, preachers, teachers, politicians, everybody. And everybody is kissing up to the idea of racism. So it's the same thing with Jews and every other woman-led culture. They don't see, even whites, alt-right whites, oh, my mother's a nice lady. No, not nice. So they're blind to it.
I agree with you. Only thing I'm saying is that when someone, out of love, because I'm saying this out of love,
Yeah.
we shouldn't automatically be assumed we're anti-Semitic, which is the same nonsense black bull. When you say something about black people, you anti-black.
Right.
They pull the same thing, and I think they get a little bit more of a pass. I'm going to be honest with you, because they're not committing crime like black people and out there acting an idiot.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, they're funding this stuff.
And
they're funding these things, and they and like I said, the women's movement was basically a bunch of Jewish women who created this.
shameful. And now the blacks are following suit. The black radical women are following in the footsteps, taking it further too. Yeah, man, I agree with you. They are. And the other thing is, like, it's not, they do also get a pass because it's not obvious. I had no idea that Judge Judy was Jewish. But once you said it, I'm like, oh yeah, she is. But you don't really think of them as Jewish. You just think of them as like some type of white.
You want to be a successful man? I'm telling you. You want success in your man as far as business and whatever. I went to a conference once with this Jewish lady. She was juicing me up, making me think things I didn't even know I could do. That's what they do to their boys. But I'm telling you, that's what they do. All of my friends that were in high school, that's what their moms did. And they become successful, but at the expense of the man being degraded to the point where he's not even relevant.
That's a shame. That's true. I mean, if you look at Adam Silver, the guy in charge of the NBA,
True.
He is like a classic example of like a beta. He's weird looking, by the way, but he's like a beta male and just total kiss up to all of that nonsense. And it's like, makes you want to throw up or spit when you see the kiss up mentality. And it's just so exploitative too, because it's really not that they actually care about the people that they're kissing up to. They're just using them for making themselves feel good and for money and for whatever else. But and for power.
Well, hopefully some Jewish folks can call in particular that lady from Cleveland. I think she was a Jewish
Betsy,
lady.
yeah.
And just say I'm wrong or just acknowledge that, that's what went on in my house.
Yeah.
It was,
appreciate it, Mike. Good Men's History Month topic. Take care.
Oh, yeah, and then my other one is, real quick, same guy I had for white history. People check into Cassius Clay, the politician. That was a real man.
Cassius Clay, the ancestor or namesake of Muhammad Ali's original name.
Yes.
The namesake.
Yes.
Cool, man. The historical figure. Right on. Appreciate that.
All right. You take care.
All right. You as well. Alan, out of Kentucky. How are you?
Yeah, bud.
Hey.
How you doing?
Fine, thank you. Nice to hear from you.
I can barely hear you.
Okay, I'll speak right into the mic like this and see if that helps.
Okay.
So what's up?
Well, who am I speaking with? Am I on air?
This is the Hake Report, man. Are you ready? This is James.
Oh yeah, man.
Hold on, Alan. I'll let you talk to the producer. Lewis, out of Austin, Texas. How are you? He might be old.
Doing good, Hake. Doing good. Yourself?
I'll get back to Alan. Hey, doing fine. Thank you, Lewis. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you pretty good. A
All
little
right.
quiet, but I can still make out.
Right on.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on the last two callers. The first one talking about his wife estranging him from his kids and the police wrongfully enforcing the wrong laws that make it to where a man can't control his house. And I was having a conversation with some of my friends, too, because some of them have daughters, and, like, we got into a little bit of a debate, like, in my belief, like, through the Bible, like, the man is given full control over his workers, his tools, his land, property, and his children and his wife happen to come under that type of property and ownership. And, you know, I had a couple of, like, I wanted to talk to Jesse, but I work nights, so I can't really wake up too early. But, like, I don't agree with the women leaving the household at 18 once they get a job and being able to find their own husband. It was always the father that gave away their daughters in marriage, and they found them a husband. And I kind of want to know, like, what's y'all's take on that?
You could go back to that, but you'll be kind of hard-pressed to find it because nowadays it seems like the pickings are slim for men that are not beta males. So the beta male epidemic is such that that's the only reason that Jesse says that, because he does acknowledge that the women used to stay home until they got married. But because there's so many beta males running around, there's no guarantee of even finding a man. Maybe you will, but that's why he recommends the women move out too. But in general, his move out thing is specifically for men, but women should too, just because there's so many beta males running around. The dad's not gonna find a alpha male for the most part.
Most men this day, but like I believe that, like, there's always a point in every point of history where the Lord raises up a remnant. People that still believe in his ways, and I believe, like, there's scripture and Jeremiah talking about returning to the old path, and if you do that, it brings blessings and respect and take away the shame. But, like, in the passage, it also says that the people spoke back, and we will not walk therein. Like, they're used to their traditions.
All right. Yeah.
Their new gods, their new modern philosophy, and I kind of really do believe that in this day and age, like, we will start seeing men take back responsibility and
we're
take
seeing
back
it
the power that they have over their own
We're
family.
seeing it already, man. Yeah, it's definitely happening. So if you want to go back to that, definitely do it and let your friends know how it works and let us know too.
Yes, sir. And also about the dude talking about the Jewish, like, starting all the women's rights and the NAACP. Like, he is right to an extent, but I like to go back to, like, the real true JQ question is, are these people who they really say they are?
Oh,
I
at
don't
that
believe
point,
that these people calling themselves Jewish are actually who they say they are, because one,
I think they think
the land
that
of Israel was divided up into 12 tribes, and the tribe of
But this
Judah
stuff doesn't
had
matter.
no monopoly over religion or the entire state of Israel. They only had
But
the
Louis,
southern part of the kingdom, which is Judea.
But Louis, what does that really matter? At that point, you're getting into, like, at that point you're getting into, like, history that's, like, so irrelevant, and nothing's gonna. You're not gonna change any.
Irrelevant if people keep claiming who they are. Like in the Bible, even said too that when they were taken into Babylon the first time, right, that the only people that were allowed to go back into Israel through God's demands was those who were pure of blood, right? They didn't enter race mix.
This is like pretty uninteresting to me, man.
They had a genealogy, kind of like a scroll that said, this is my parents, this is who they were, and they went so forth all the way back to the beginning.
If that's enlightening to you, that's great, but I'm just not interested, man. I appreciate the call, though. Happy Men's History Month.
No problem.
Take care.
You too.
Logan out of South Carolina. I will get back to Alan in a moment, Alan, so do hang on. But Logan, first-time caller out of South Carolina. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fine. Thank you. No man is good, though.
All right. My question is, I'm hearing a lot of talk about all these gun laws, and I'm just curious on what you think should happen for these gun laws in all these shootings.
Yeah. I do not think that they should be enacting any new gun laws. If anything, they should free up the guns, get rid of gun-free zones so that people can carry anywhere they want, make people more men so that they're more logical, so that they, those who are qualified, meaning they know within themselves that they can handle a weapon, to carry, so that then that's a deterrent to these people, because these people specifically target soft targets. That guy, the El Paso shooter, if his manifesto turns out to have been legitimate and real, he said, I recommend all my fellow white terrorists, white eco-fascists, because he was a radical environmentalist, to target soft targets. Don't sacrifice your life where people are carrying weapons. Go to places where people are unarmed and ducks in a barrel. And that's what they all do. They're cowards, And so, more for the most part, including even Fort Hood. Fort Hood, you can't even carry a gun inside Fort Hood. It's crazy. And they claim, the Fort Hood shooter, he went into a place that was not a gun-free zone. It actually was. People had to check their guns. So just FYI. So anyway.
Well, let me ask you this: in European countries that are predominantly white, they have guns, and they don't barely have any crime.
Right.
So would you say that we should just send all the niggers back to Africa?
I gotta go, man. Send all the N-words back to Africa? No, man. It doesn't work like that. It's not realistic. Dummy. Alan, out of Kentucky.
Yeah, bud.
How are you, man?
How you
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're working then.
Happy Men's History Month, Alan. Nice to talk with you. Appreciate your patience.
No, you guys are fine.
Cool.
I'll try to make it brief. As we spoke earlier, I don't want to derail your conversation.
That's fine.
I haven't been able to keep up with it this morning, so I really don't know the gist.
You're fine. Just tell me what your comment was. Appreciate it.
Well, this is from my experience, and give me half a moment. There will be little to argue with and much to think about, I hope. Basically, I'm a white guy. I was born in a family in the South that really were race neutral. Race wasn't even an issue. In fact, actually, black folks were portrayed in a positive light to me. I love the Hispanics. I love their music. In fact, to this day, I play classical guitar because of Spanish guitarists. And but what I found when I went out in life, like a naked child, was much different than what I was taught to believe, particularly about blacks. When I was a little kid, about 11 years old, my family couldn't afford anything. There was a local scoutmaster that took pity on our poverty and got me into their scout group. We went to this event, and the first blacks I ever met stuck a knife in my throat and stole a soft drink from me, which it sounds stupid today, but it cost 25 cents, and it really took my family a couple weeks to save up the money to buy me that pop. Over time in life, and I'm really objective about things, I've not seen predominantly racist whites.
Yep.
Most white people really don't care about your skin color.
Right.
To this day, I don't care. I care about your culture, but I don't care about your skin color. There's no black culture, for example. I've known 3 guys in my life who were black that were the best people I've ever known. I, to this day, hope to be able to emulate them. They were really good guys. I've only known one white person who I would call truly, he was truly a racist. And me as a person, I can go into a lot of details, but I won't. I had a lot of experience with blacks. I hung out with them for a while. I know what they're about. And when I say blacks, I'm talking about a certain culture. I'm not talking about every black. A certain culture, the average culture.
Yep.
And white people are getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of being called a racist when the only thing I want is the best for these people. Let me give you an example.
I know what you're talking about, Alan. I know what you're talking about. Most whites are raised the same way as you. Most of us grow up not knowing or caring about the race thing. We're not into that. But nowadays, and blacks were raised that way, and they're raised with hatred and not love, and they think that they love each other, but they don't, and they hate whites. And the racism thing, ignore it because it's not even real. They're just, when they're calling you racist or calling whites racist, it's just they're speaking their own delusion. So just ignore it. Who cares?
Yeah, and I can tell you one more thing. I know you guys are busy.
All right.
I was a veteran from the Vietnam War, and I started out as a mechanic. And one dealership, they were kind because I was a vet to give me a job. And I went on to another dealership. I went into that dealership with only a little toolbox in my hand because you have to buy your own tools, and I didn't make much. I made what? I didn't make anything hardly at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a little toolbox in my hand and an impact wrench in the other hand. That's how I started my job. A black guy started with me. He had $700 worth of Mac tools, which are similar Snap-on, and he was paid to have a Porsche mechanics course going in. Luckily, my dealer...
He was paid by who? Who was he paid to do that?
By the government.
Oh, okay. Spoiled.
And so, my dealer saw the what would you call it, the discrepancy, and he paid for me to take the Porsche mechanics course with this guy.
Wow.
Now, after we finished, I was always training this guy. He made more money than me. He was hired at a higher rate because he was black, and I was told that.
Yeah.
And I was training him, trying to teach him about vehicles. He finally got fired because, well, he didn't get fired. They couldn't fire him. He totally destroyed a carburetor, soaking it in a solution too long. And they actually moved him to another dealership, which was a Volkswagen dealership, and he destroyed an engine's head there.
So affirmative action is evil, and it's just breeding more resentment between both sides.
It's not evil.
Yeah, it's evil.
It's misapplied.
Yep. It's misguided.
There's a difference between people that care and want to improve themselves and people who just want what they can get.
But the outside world, if it's spoiling you, the temptation is too great to accept the spoiling, man. It diminishes their greatness because that man.
And I'm gonna tell you one thing for the listeners. Back in the 70s, me being a white guy, I hung around with black guys. We had fun with the difference in races. We enjoyed it. We made jokes about it.
Yep.
We were brothers. We loved one another. There was a few that were. I can tell you some stories, but I won't bother you for your time. But generally speaking, we loved one another. We got along.
I know, man.
All of a sudden, we're here today. You know?
Yep. Appreciate it, Alan. Happy Men's History Month to you.
You too, sir. Take care, and I wish the best for your listeners.
All right. Take care. Peggy out of San Antonio, Texas. By the way, you know that guy that said the N-word earlier in my show? Back in the day, it was a joke. It wasn't that serious how they pretend that it is. They talk about the N-word being such a horrible word, and it is now because they've made it that way. But it wasn't. I don't believe that it ever was that bad as it is today. It was, people say, oh, it was the worst thing that you could have said, and then that was the last thing they heard before they got lynched. That's the last thing that they hear before they get shot in Chicago. N-word. No, it's worse today. It wasn't as bad. It was just the name for them. Anyways, that's just a side note. But nowadays, the guy wants to come on my radio show and act like he can say that. Silly. Don't you know the FCC is around? Peggy out of San Antonio. Thanks for holding, Peggy.
Hi, James. I wanted to ask you about Joe Collins. I got an email or something saying that he was her worst nightmare and that he's going to run against her. And I wanted to know, do you think he has a chance?
No, I don't think he has a chance. I have never heard this name before.
Oh.
Yeah, never heard
That's why I wanted to know, too. His name is Joe Collins.
We'll look into him. Appreciate the tip. We will look into him, and if he seems like a solid guy, we'll have him on. We'll invite Maxine Waters back on. She's been on Jesse's show in the past, by the way. Maxine Waters was. I'll have to see if we have the archive. I'm going through the archives. I appreciate the tip, Peggy.
Yeah. Okay, James. Thanks.
Thank you. Happy Men's History Month.
You too. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye. Josh, first-time caller out of Washington, D.C. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Hold on, Josh. That was horrible. we're getting a lot of clipping on Josh. Not sure if that's the volume or what. Yeah, caller's checking on him. So anyway, let me just talk briefly about Steve King. Representative Steve King, Republican from Iowa, has been attacked for having common sense. This came out last week. I reported on it this past Thursday, August 15th, top of the second hour news, actually. So he was defending being against abortion in the case of rape and incest, right? And people are mad because they want to mischaracterize what he said. So Drudge reported Representative King incites furor with abortion, rape, and incest remarks. Des Moines Register headline, U.S. Representative Steve King, if not for rape and incest, would there be any population left? And he's actually making the point that a lot of people were born and had good lives being the product of so-called rape and incest. It's not a reason to kill the babies. And Representative King is a Catholic, but if you're a Christian, you don't kill people, kill babies, just because it came out of rape and incest. It's totally illogical. It's ridiculous. And he also talked about his New York Times misquote about white nationalism, white supremacy, Western civilization. How did that language become so-called racist or offensive or whatever he said? And he was removed by the rhinos, including House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy. I think that was in January. And the House passed a resolution condemning white supremacy, so-called, and white nationalism. Ridiculous. And they should be condemning the Democrat Party, Democrat Party is worse than white nationalism. Ridiculous. Anyways, let me check back with Josh. Josh, are you better?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
No, man. No, sorry, Josh. It's sounding horrible. So, let me continue. Reddit. I'm going to try to get through this, Joel. Reddit liberals dislike my commentary. I'm sorry, Josh. I don't think I can get to you, man. Check on him again, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get to you. So your phone sounds horrible, and I don't know if it's on our end or yours, but can't do it. So I went on Reddit over the weekend. Esteban likes Reddit, one of my former co-hosts. He was fired. And so there's a bunch of liberals on Reddit. Reddit has quarantined the Donald, by the way, which is the biggest pro-Trump Reddit channel, if you will, whatever they call it. And so yesterday, Sunday, on my show, I was talking about victim blaming being good and necessary. You need to victim blame so that people learn. Over the weekend, I came into a collision of two victims. One was a young black male, and he had encountered a helpless white woman. So I went on Reddit. This black male was talking about, 21-year-old, talking about encountering a white female on the street. And so you can show the picture, the first one. It may be real small for you, but basically what he's saying, I stereotyped a stereotype, and I was wrong. And he tells this story. You can leave it up for a while. He tells this story that he was all worried, being threatened of her maybe feeling threatened by him, because he was a lone black male and she was out alone late at night on the street. But she just asked him directions. And so then he was suddenly relieved that she wasn't threatened by him. But then also he felt guilty, being a liberal, for having made that assumption that she might feel bad about him. So I respond, and then I do have this one, my response, I think the first one. And I'm like, to be honest, if anything, she should be, you may be able to read this, but it's kind of small. But she was in the wrong. If anything, she should feel bad, because she's the one who should not be out late at night, putting herself in a risky situation. Yeah, he was no threat to her, right? Because he's a nice, soft liberal, but, and not a criminal liberal. But she's the one who should be feeling bad, not him. And So I said, if anything, he should have scolded her. Hey, you shouldn't be out late at night, and she should be smart, not taking dumb risks. And maybe if he scolded her, or if any encounter, he should have maybe recorded it, because nowadays, not only is it disproportionate that black men commit rape, it's also disproportionate that women falsely accuse. So it's good to record it. That way you have an alibi. Not an alibi, but a evidence of your innocence. Because nowadays, men have to prove themselves innocent. It is Men's History Month. So he's like, no to all of this. And, it's like he didn't even understand that blacks do have this reputation for a reason. Because it's not just a stereotype. It's blacks actually have committed a disproportionate rape. I think I have a graph of it elsewhere in that whole folder somewhere. Yeah, over the decades, even to today, blacks per capita are twice as likely to commit rape than whites, or at least be arrested for it. And I'm sure that a lot of those are false accusations, right? But maybe a lot are not. Back in the 80s, it was 74 per 100,000 arrests and these are teens, ages 10 to 17, juveniles. And then the older ones, they didn't really track it as well, or at least I didn't find the older people numbers, ages 18 to 20, whatever, 9. But one liberal had no idea that blacks commit rape disproportionately, called BS, ignorant. And I noticed that all my replies, and I'm like well-meaning and everything, right? But I guess I'm just not politically correct enough for Reddit. We're getting like a lot of downvotes. It's crazy. I have a call, but I don't know who's there, so I don't know. But I have a personal question for you guys. Are you out of control? Because most people are out of control, right, in some way or another. And then I notice when I'm the most passionate, meaning like angry about the police, I'm referencing that guy, mad at the police, or angry about some type of situation or whatever, and wasting time arguing with people online or disagreeing with people or thinking about arguments and stuff, mad at a woman or whatever, that's when I'm the most out of control. It's so self-righteous and so self-defeating. Anyone relate to that? I do. Just a funny thing. Let's see. By the way, about this Reddit thing, I think I do have. Do I have any other screenshots from that thing? The Reddit one.
The one of the e-commerce city?
Yeah. Show. Zoom in on him, because I told him about the. Zoom in on that middle one. I told him that people falsely accuse, and that all that stuff. He's all. I would have assumed that I was a danger. She said, I feel like starting to scold because I told him that he should scold her for being out, because I've been scolded before by people, and it kind of woke me up. And like I remember telling one time where I was acting like I was trusting to people, because this is such a liberal thing, right? Such a guilt-ridden person thing to do is just act like you're trusting to people. So you give them the change before they give you the 20. You give them change for 20 before they actually give you the 20. So I told her, maybe he should have scolded her. Like, what are you doing out late at night by yourself? And so he's all, if a woman feels comfortable going out alone, I believe she should be able to. And this is such that trap of feminism, liberalism, where they just act like you should be able to do whatever you want and just teach men not to rape. Talk about being anti-woman. It's kissing up to the worst in the women, meaning they want to go out and act like invincible men, but they're going to go out and take a risk thinking that they should not have to suffer any more fear of being raped as men suffer. And to me, that's just so ridiculous. So I just wanted to give that side note about that kissing up to women being able to do whatever they want. It just defies the law of nature, because the law of nature is cruel. The world is cruel out there, and evil people are real. And it's all the more real because of these liberals who are kissing up to the homeless, the drug addicts, letting people out of prisons early, and all that. And it's just like a very naive world that these people live in. We don't need guns. We don't need the same firepower as the police and the military. Yeah, we do. You heard that caller talking about the cops are corrupt. He kind of has a point in that they shouldn't. The good people should be able to have the same weaponry as all of them, because the cartels sure are very well armed. We saw pictures of drug cartels, Mexican drug cartels, having major firepower. You think they're going to be scared coming in when we can only hold 7 rounds in a little pistol? And like a pump action shotgun that can't fire but like 7 rounds or 10 rounds? So anyways, that's that. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.